Okay, we're in week 7. Let me get in the syllabus here and pull this down. Okay, and let's see, exactly just asked the question when I submit my syllabus to the SRCC, should I include the keywords? And I said, no, it's probably best just to submit the abstract. Okay? So if you guys online are submitting an abstract, just submit the abstract with my recommendations for edits and get that done. When is the 6th? It's this Sunday, is that right? So you want to get your abstract in by this Sunday. And let's see, Melanie, if you're watching this, if you want to submit an abstract for the poster that you're going to present at Salt Lake City in August, this would be a good tune-up for you to go ahead and do the poster talk. So you might want to submit an abstract on that. Okay? All right, this week we're going to talk about how to create the experiment using the emotional Stroop test. And then you're going to write a method section and a prediction section with hypotheses and submit those this Sunday. Okay, so we're already into the emotional Stroop experiment. Last week you were to write an introduction section with a cover sheet and 3 sources and submit that. And so I'm moving through those and grading those now. And then you'll add on to your paper just like we did with the signal detection theory paper, where you have a prediction section at the end of your intro and then a method section that comes right after that. And then I'll talk about figures that you'll put in your method section this Wednesday. Okay. All right, so I wanted to make sure that you saw that and you know what's going on this week. Okay. All right, let's see if I can close this syllabus. There we go. Let's go to modules. And I have the PowerPoint for today, how to create an experiment using emotional Stroop test. Okay? So let me open that up. Let's talk about this. All right, so this is week 7. We have, I think, 1 more week after this, and then I'll have to submit the midterm grades. So all the work that you've submitted up until next week will be included in your midterm grade, okay? So if you're behind a little bit, that's okay. Your midterm grade will be a little lower, but that's, you know where you stand, okay? All right, so how do we set up this experiment? I talked a little bit about this last week, but I do want to talk a little bit about how you get your words from that new database for this experiment, okay? And I think I showed a little bit of this last time. I was trying to figure out how they scaled the words in terms of how arousing the words were. And so they used a scale like this. It's called a self-assessment Mannequin, SAM scale. Okay, and how many points does it have? It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. Okay, so I figured this out. It's a 9-point scale in the new database. So it ranges from 1 to 9. 1 is not arousing at all, which would be way over here, right? And then it moves up to 9, very arousing. It looks like this guy's got an electric shock going on in him, right? And he's got these little lines around his head looking like he's very shocked at the word that, he's going to be rating, okay? All right, and you can open this hyperlink at the top and it will take you to the new database. And we can just kind of explore this once again. This is called the Effective Norms for English Words. It's been rated by how many participants? I think 300 participants. It really doesn't say here in the method. Does it? It seems like they had a lot of people rate these words, okay? It doesn't really tell you how many people did it, but they have a lot of ratings. Okay, so what you want to look at is this column here that says arousal mean, okay? And remember, it's rated from 1 to 9. 9 would be the most arousing word you can think of. You would have a really big emotional response to it, and then a 1 would be, you wouldn't have much of a response at all to it, okay? So let's just kind of go through this column. I'm just looking at numbers. Is there anything that's close to a 9 in terms of arousal? I see a couple of 7s there. Bomb and betray. Those are 7s. And then we have some 6s there. Here's a 7, danger. Okay, that's pretty arousing. But it's not up to the point of 9, right? Which would be the most arousing. Here's a 7, desire. That's an arousing word. And ecstasy would be an arousing one. Here's one that's a 7.97, enraged. Okay. Excitement is a pretty arousing word, 7.67. And as you move through, you can see that the higher numbers represent the more arousing words in the list. Okay. Now, if you were to think about words that aren't really arousing, then you would look for the lower mean, something that would be 4.5 or lower, right? If it's a 9-point scale. So we have green, which is not terribly arousing, it's 4.28. Let's see, here's a 3.95, habit, hair dryer, hairpin, those are all not very arousing words, right? Handicap, aid, indifferent is not arousing. Hydrant, okay, horse. So you can see that if you were to pick out neutral words from this list, you would probably want to get the least arousing words that you can find from the list, and then write those down or put them in a Word document and say, this is the list of neutral words that I picked out, okay? And now, how to get the words that are going to be the emotion words. Let's see, let me flip through this PowerPoint, and you can see you're going to pick a psychopathological condition like depression or anxiety or PTSD or some eating disorder, right? Or something else, whatever you like. And then you're going to look for symptoms of that particular condition. Okay, so let me go to Google. Well, actually, Google Scholar has that. I type in Google Scholar. And then I want to find symptoms of, and then you have a whole list here. Maybe anxiety. Huh? Let's just try that. Let's say you selected anxiety as a psychopathological condition. Okay? So we need to know what are the symptoms of anxiety. And does this look good here? Okay. Let me click on that one. And let's just see if they have a list of symptoms. Okay. There's at least 4 main subtypes of anxiety, usually distinguished within scientific publications, including general anxiety disorder, phobic disorders, panic disorders, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, so these are all anxiety disorders. I want to find the symptoms. I see a couple here, worry and fear. Those are a couple. So I'd probably write those down and see if it's on that database. They're reporting anxiety questionnaires here. So we could just get away from this article and look up one of these questionnaires, couldn't we? To pick out some keywords. But let me just keep flipping through this article. See if I can't find some symptoms. No, I can't. So what I would do if I was a student is I would find a questionnaire that would deal with anxiety. They have some pretty specific ones here. Mathematics anxiety, anxiety questionnaire. That sounds like a general one there. Job anxiety scale, social physique anxiety scale, dating anxiety scale for music students, computer anxiety scale. Those are all kind of specific environmental areas that might cause a person anxiety. Here's a pain anxiety scale, COPD anxiety questionnaire. I should take that. Prostate cancer specific anxiety scale. Anxiety. What?
The prostate cancer specific anxiety.
Yeah, that's very specific, isn't it? Anxiety about death. Okay, dental anxiety. Wow. I just want a general one, right? So I think those were back here somewhere. Let me look. That's interesting. Okay, here's one, the state trait anxiety inventory. I wonder if I can get them. State trait anxiety inventory. Let me go to Google Scholar. Oh, it's in Chinese. I can't use that, can I? Let me go back. Let's see, I'll pull up again. All right, so I was there. Let me go up a little bit. social anxiety questionnaire. Don't see any links to these. Leibowitz social anxiety, the BEI Beck depression scale. I think I could copy this URL and get this social anxiety scale. So I'm going to copy that. And I'll open it up here and see if I can find it. It's not valid for this server. Okay, so I can't get that. See if I can find another. Tell and Shire's anxiety scale. Anxiety questionnaire. Worries and emotionality. They have a lot of them, don't they? Hamilton anxiety scale. Here's another URL. Maybe I can get this. Let's try it. Okay. Looks like I can get it here, maybe. No, no, there's a PDF. Okay. Oh, it's not going to let me get it up. I think there was another. Here we go. Okay, is it here? Yeah, okay. So now I can pick out some terms, right? These are all kind of symptoms, okay? They have anxiety, tension, fears, insomnia, which means you can't sleep very well, right? Difficulty in concentration. What's a word for that that would encapsulate just that? Difficulty concentrating. I can't use those two words. I have to use this one word to describe that. Over to you. Unfocused. I like that. So I wonder if that's in the new database. Unfocused. Go to the view. Unfocused. Nope, it's not there. Okay, another word for difficulty concentrating. Distracted. Kind of relates to it, right? Let me look. It's distracted in our word list. D-I-S. No, it's not there. Okay, well, anyway. Let's see if anxiety is there. I bet it is, right? That's what we're measuring. Anxious or anxiety? Anxious. Yeah, there it is. And that's got a good arousal. So that could be one of our interference terms, right? And then we go to tense. Okay, let's see if tense is in the database. Tense. Yeah, it's right there, and it's got a good arousal mean. So tense could be my second word. And then fear. I think we saw this before. Let me go to fear. Fear is here. It's got a 6.96, so that's a good word for it. Then insomnia. I don't know if that's in there, but let's check. Insomnia. Oh, what's another word for insomnia? Sleepless. I doubt that they have actually sleep. That's another word for insomnia. Well, wakefulness. Okay, let me see if that's in there. W. Wake. Let's see the word fatigue here. I don't know. Could that be one? here it is. Okay. Oh, that's a low arousal mean though, so we really don't want to use that, do we? Nightmare? Is that part of insomnia? That's what it says here. See if nightmare is in there. Yep, it is, and that's a highly arousing word. Okay, so you could use that for. And does it really relate to anxiety, nightmares? Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. Palpitations, pain in the chest, throbbing of vessels, fainting feelings, missing beat. I guess if you're anxious, you have some of those cardiovascular symptoms. I see tachycardia there, but I don't think that's going to be in our word list, right? Tachycardia means slow heartbeat, is that right? Or is it fast?
Pretty sure it's too fast.
Tachy. What would be the opposite of that? Can you look up the definition of that word and just see, does it mean fast or slow heartbeat?
Yeah, tachycardia is the medical term for a heart rate over 100 beats per minute.
Okay, so it's fast. What's the opposite of that? It's, you guys probably know medical terminology better than I, right? What's the opposite of tachycardia?
Bradycardia.
Bradycardia. Okay, good. All right, but that wouldn't be a symptom of anxiety, right? It's tachycardia. What's a simple word for tachycardia? Or palpitation. Simple word for a fast heartbeat. You have a thesaurus for tachycardia? What would it be?
Yeah, nothing that would be on that list.
Yeah.
The only synonyms for tachycardia are other medical terms.
Okay.
So I say palpitation, that's like the symbol to it.
Yeah. Palpitation. I don't think that's in our list, though.
Would you be able to find like another list that's a little more like suitable for a specific thing? Like if we can find a word list that's sort of like this, but more specific to.
Yeah, but I want everybody to use this database, but I'm sure there are others. Yeah. Well, palpitation is, do you have a source for that? Is there another word for that? Palpitation.
Throb.
Throb, okay. See if that one's in here. No, it's not.
Maybe pulse.
Pulse. Pulse. It's not here.
How about quake?
Quake. It's a quake.
Or quiver.
QR. Quake. Nope. It's not there. Well, we might have to skip over that one, right? Let's see. Restriction or constriction in chest. Choking. Let's see if choking is there. Choking could be a verb though too. Right? Well, yes, both those. Choke. I don't see choke. Okay. Oh. nausea, vomiting, nausea, vomit. Is that usually associated with anxiety? That's 5.75, which is kind of arousing. Okay, dry mouth, what would you call that? What would that be called? Dry mouth. Parched, right? Parched. Is that in here? Parched. No. Dry mouth. Didn't see the sweat. Sweat. Sweat's not good. Well, they have fidgeting. Fidget. Fidget. That's not in there either. Wow. We're not having much luck, are we? Restless. Restless. Yes, no. Trimmer. Trimmer. Trimmer's not there. Rapid respiration. That's breathing fast, right? Is there a word for that? Tachy breathing? What would you call that? Gasping or something? Or gasping for air? Let me see a gasping. Gas. It's not here. Okay. Anyway, we need 15 words, right, that are arousing, that fit anxiety. So maybe I would go to a different scale since the scale's not helping me much, right? But I could use anxious, tense, fear, and nightmares off of this one. And then you would find another scale, right? But, you would go ahead and reference or source, cite this paper for some of those symptoms. Okay? All right, so we kind of know how to use this database. As Zachary pointed out, it's kind of limited, right? But this is the one we're going to use. So you'll find 15 words that are low arousal, like that, or bandage, right? And you would have 15 of those, and then in your interference condition, you're going to have 15 words that relate to the symptoms of your disorder that you're going to use. Okay? All right, so to create the experimental materials, and this is something you'll do over the week and get it ready, and you're going to want to write about this in your method section, right? And that's why I'm introducing all this stuff this week. You're going to create 3 slides, okay? The first slide is going to be neutral, those 15 neutral words in black and white. Okay? So you'll open up a PowerPoint just like I have, and we'll make this kind of a blank slide. Then I'm just going to insert text box. And I'll create 15 words in text box from that new database. So let's see. I'll just grab a few of these to kind of show you. Chair is a really low arousal kind of a term. So I'm going to go chair. I'll put it all in caps, right? And I'll move it over to the center of the slide. I guess I need a ruler for this, right? New ruler. All right, and then I want that centered right there at the 0 point. Yes, and then then I'll create another text box. Move it down here, and I'll find my second word from the database. It's really low arousing, so maybe corridor. I need to think about syllables too, right? If people are reading words from top to bottom, going as fast as they can, do I want to give them all one syllable words, or do I kind of want to match syllables in this neutral set to match the number of syllables that are going to be in my interference condition, right? Because it takes longer to pronounce a 3-syllable word, right? Versus a single syllable word. So I probably want to take that into account too, right? I do see corridor there. There's cow, right? So I'll just put cow as my second word here. But eventually, after you get all 15 words, then you're going to have to kind of match the number of syllables, right? So after I get my 15 neutral words going down this slide, then I want to probably create my interference slide next. Well, actually, let me just go step by step. I probably want to create the second baseline slide. So I'll just copy this, put it here, and then I'll change it to a color, right? Maybe I'll put that in red. And then maybe my second word is cow. I'll put it here. And I'll change this to a different color, like blue, and so forth, right? And I'll probably want to use just 4 colors, I'm sorry, going down this, but they're going to be reading the words on this one, right? On the last slide, they're going to be looking at your psychopathological condition words. So one of those words was anxious, right? Anxious, capital letters. Oh, capital letters. And these will also be printed in a color. So maybe green for the first one. Let's see, another word was what did we find? Tense. So I'll take this and I'll change it to the word tense. Change the color on this one to blue. Oh, wait. Just make sure everything's centered, right? So anxious is a 2-syllable word, tense is a 1-syllable, etc. I know I'm not explaining it well, but are you getting what I'm saying? Okay. Because eventually, after I get all 15 words that have to do with the symptoms of anxiety, and I'll put these in, say, yellow and red, right, the other two, and then I'll continue to alternate. Well, I'll just mix them up, right? And I'll make some blue and some green and some yellow and some red. people will have to name the color of the word and not read the word on this third slide, okay? And then I'll go back to my neutral words and I'll say, do they have the same number of syllables as the words that are going to be on my interference slide, okay? All right, so I know I'm all over the place, but this gives you an idea of what you're going to write about in the methods section, okay? And you'll have 3 slides eventually. The first slide is going to be neutral words in black and white. We'll use the same neutral words in color on the second slide. And you're just going to read what those words are. And then the third slide is the interference condition in color. They say the color of the word. And those have to do with the symptoms of whatever disorder you're using for your experiment, okay? All right. So this slide says, use the new word database, like I was showing you. You'll have 15 neutral words that you pick out, 15 interference words that are higher than 4.5 arousal, and they have to do with the symptoms, okay? Then you'll, at the very beginning of your experiment, you'll have an instruction slide. What are the people going to be doing? They're going to be timed on how fast they can read words, okay? Or say the color of words. That's what you would say. Then you would say, if you decide to participate, you're giving your voluntary consent to do so. And then you'll tell them, please state your gender and age to me. Okay, you write those down. And then you time them. On the first slide, time them on the second slide, and time them on the third slide where they say the color of the word and not the word itself. Okay? Then you'll have a debriefing slide. You might explain what the Stroop effect is, and then what the emotional Stroop effect is, what you hypothesize, what you expect to find, and how do you set up the experiment to test the hypothesis, and then you ask them how do you feel, okay, after they're done. Okay, so explain back to me exactly what I said in terms of the experimental materials that I just described.
So you're gonna list. So you're gonna have one slide that is gonna be a list of neutral words that are all in one. You're gonna have a second slide that are gonna also be neutral words, but in 4 different colors.
Okay.
And then the last slide are going to be words related to a certain psychopathology, and they're also going to be 4 different colors. And on that one, the participants are going to state the color instead of.
Okay, good. And then in your instructions, you'll say, read these words as fast as you can from top to bottom, or say the color of the word as fast as you can from top to bottom. Okay, at the beginning, you'll have an instruction slide. At the end, you'll have a debriefing slide. Make sure you get gender and age of your participants again for this study. All right, when you write the method section, you want to make sure that you say, what the sample will be, given age range. You don't know what it will be yet. And then you give the mean and standard deviation of those ages in that sample section. You also say people are not compensated and that they gave their informed consent to participate. And say where you got the participants from. Or maybe family, friends, or co-workers, or maybe if we get some intro students, it might be those guys too. Okay. In the materials section, we're going to, describe all of these things that I talked about in terms of, creating the 3 slides, right? So after you explain how you created the words from the new database, the 15 words for each slide, you're going to say how they were set up, and then you're going to make a figure of those stimuli, Okay, so if I were to make a figure of this, I would hit Shift Print Screen on my keyboard, and then I'd open up a Word document. And then I would paste the stimuli here, crop it like a photo. Like this. Let's say I had 15 words, right? And then I would make this bigger. Then underneath, I would write figure 1. Example baseline stimulus slide in black and white. Okay. And you want to italicize figure 1 here. And I want to see a couple of figures, or maybe 3 figures in your method section under materials, okay, showing me what the stimuli look like, and then putting a figure caption underneath those. Okay? All right, so that's what it'll look like. Now, let's see what else. When you get to procedure, then you're going to talk about, from beginning to end, what did the participants do and what did the experimenter do? Okay? And that will be your method section. Now, going back to the end of your intro section, you're going to write a prediction section. What would the predictions section say in this study? How would you set up hypotheses for this study?
Researcher predicted that due to the emotional Stroop effects, participants would be significantly slower in stating the color of the psychopathologically salient words versus just reading the neutral.
Participants will be significantly slower in saying the color of the psychopathological words when compared to reading the what?
The neutral black and white words and neutral color words.
Okay, the neutral black and white words and neutral color words. However, we're combining those two neutral slides, right? The times on those two. And so how could I just make that one condition, and how would I label it? Can I just get rid of this and say participants will be significantly slower in saying the color of the psychopathological words when compared to reading the neutral words? Okay. And then we change this psychopathological to whatever condition you're going to be using, right? So color of the PTSD words, right? And compared to reading the neutral words. Is that the only thing that we're going to measure in the study? Is it just one hypothesis? Yeah, because we're doing a t-test, right? We're just going to compare the time on the neutral words versus the time on the interference condition, and we're going to see if there's a significant mean difference between the two. So that's the only thing that we're going to measure in this study, right? So you just need one hypothesis for this one. Do you have it? Danielle, are you confused? Okay, you have it. Okay, good. All right, does everyone have it online? I hope. Send me email if you don't. Okay? But that's what you're going to be doing. Okay, so this week, again, we're going to be writing the prediction section and adding that to the intro you've already submitted. And then you're going to be writing the method section after you get your experimental materials ready to some extent, right? And in that method section, you're going to be showing me in your materials section what each of the stimuli look like on slide 1, slide 2, and slide 3. Okay? And I want 3 figures in that section. Okay. All righty, so that's all for today, and then Wednesday we'll talk more about writing the method and thinking about the experimental materials. All right, remember to get your abstracts in for the student research conference. I had one email from a student asking, how do I present this? Okay, so I can also go over that on Wednesday and talk about how to do that. Okay. All right, very good. And that should be that. Good. Problems here. Let's see. I need to end this meeting. How do I end the meeting? Stop video. I guess I could do that. There we go. Okay, you guys have a good day. See you again.
Your office hours are Mondays and Wednesdays, right?
Yeah, Monday, Wednesday.
Okay, yeah, I'll look. But I want to talk to you about maybe applying for grad school. But then I also was wondering which would be better if I try to do like a double major or if it would just be easier if I, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
How far away are you?
I'm very far. I think I can graduate next December or this December.
Okay.
So that's why I was
I
wondering.
wouldn't have.
No, might as well just go for my master's because it'll take like the same amount of time. Because I was wondering if I could do like both social work and psychology, but I think
Yeah, social work has a lot of hours. How many have you completed so far?
for social work,
Yeah.
not a lot. It was like you need like how many, like 50 something, and I think I have like 20, 15.
Okay. What you could do is just do a master in social work.
So I could do that with the bachelor's in psychology.
Mhm.
And then I was still thinking about the school counseling
Okay.
masters.
Yeah.
I could do that right with
Yeah.
bachelor's.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I guess I'm gonna just come talk to you.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then also I just kind of need help, like I don't know, like maybe intern somewhere or something.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know where to start with that. So,
Okay. Yeah, we'll work that.
okay.
So like, I don't know, Wednesday, are you free like, I think my hours 11 to 1?
I think that's what it is.
Something like that, or 3?
Uh-huh. I work till the night. So yeah, I can go 11,
Okay.
11 or 12 or whatever works.
Yeah, that's fine.
If you'll be there, then yeah.
Yeah.
11:30ish. Okay, yeah. See you Wednesday then.
All right. Good.
Thank you.
Yep.